Good afternoon, and welcome to our House Appropriations Committee meeting. Members, will you answer the roll? Okay, you may close the roll. Order for today. We have 3 bills to be presented, and then after we have addressed those 3 bills, then we will begin to hear from members of the House and their requests. Ms. Kim.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The first bill before the committee is House Bill 1 from Delegate Ward. This is coming straight to full committee. It is a bill to raise the state's minimum wage. The bill raises the state's minimum wage to $3.75 per hour starting January 1, 2027, and then raises the state's minimum wage to $15 an hour in 2028. The total budgetary impact for this biennium is $546,000 in FY27 and $13.8 million in FY28. Costs for the bill double in the out years to reflect a full year of wages at least $15 an hour or higher. The costs are primarily driven by changes to Medicaid, reflecting increases for both consumer and agency-directed personal care attendants. Mr. Chairman, that's the bill.
Move to the report, Mr. Chairman.
Second. It's been moved and second that we report House Bill number 1. Members, please cast your vote. That bill reports 15-7. Kim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Moving on to bills that were heard in Commerce, Ag, and Natural Resources Subcommittee last Wednesday. The first bill on the agenda is House Bill 183 from Delegate Reed. There's a substitute.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Second, Mr. Chairman, there is also an amendment to the bill that needs to be adopted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This makes changes to the first-time homebuyer savings account created in 2014, and this just allows individuals to designate a bank account as tax-exempt savings for home ownership. It increases the amount of money that can be placed in such fund. There is no direct budgetary impact for the bill.
Mr. Chairman, move to report. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we report HB 183 as amended. Members, please cast your vote. That bill reports 17-4. 17-5.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The last bill from the Commerce, Ag, and Natural Resources Subcommittee is House Bill 363 from Delegate Doherty. This just changes the match requirement from 1-to-1 for grants from the Commonwealth Commercialization Fund and the Regional Innovation Fund administered by the Virginia Innovation Partnership Authority for grants under $100,000. There is money in the budget for both of these funds. The Regional Innovation Fund has $2 million per year, and the Commonwealth Commercialization Fund currently has an appropriation of $5 million per year. There is no direct budgetary impact for the bill.
Mr. Chairman, move to report.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we report HB 363. Members, please cast your vote. The bill reports 22-0. Thank you, Kim. Now we're going to transition to members and their presentation of the top 3 budgetary priorities, and our director of the House Appropriations Committee, Ms. Ann Oman, will be inviting members up to the podium to present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did have a pre-sign-up, so we will be calling members in sign-up order. If they're not here at that time, they can be heard when they arrive thereafter. So it gets a little bit convoluted, but just bear with us and have some patience, please. For the members on the committee, your screens will show the amendments that are being considered at that time. I guess first up is Delegate Clark.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Before you, my first budget item is number 368, number 4H for $954,992. I ask that the committee support this budget amendment, providing that the statutorily authorized 25% state reimbursement for the Western Tidewater Regional Jail Security System Replacement Project. The jail's existing security infrastructure has exceeded its useful life, is no longer supported by the manufacturer, and cannot be upgraded, creating clear operational and security risks for staff, inmates, and the public. This project modernizes essential systems by improving camera coverage and resolution, expanding video retention, upgrading communications and access control, and also strengthening monitoring of inmates and staff. These upgrades directly enhance facility security, operational efficiency, and risk management. The jail authority has already invested approximately $4 million from its reserves to complete this project, significantly reducing funds intended for long-term stability and emergencies. The next budget item is 43815H, which provides $500,000 for a planning and engineering study for the North Suffolk Connector as rail traffic increases due to expanding port activity at grade crossing on Nassman Parkway and Shoulder Hills Road already cause significant delays that will only worsen over time. These disruptions limit access to I-64, Northern Suffolk, and downtown, impacting commuters, freight movement, and emergency response. The North Suffolk Connector, identified in the Suffolk's 2035 comprehensive plan, would bypass these crossings and provide a reliable connection between Northern Suffolk and the city's urban core. This study will be critical to the next steps to advance engineering, environmental renewal, and cost estimates so the project can compete for further state and federal construction funds. And last but not least, budget item number 335, number 1H. This is a $750,000 budget amendment to strengthen life-saving healthcare access in Suffolk through Community Efforts, Inc., a trusted nonprofit that has served our most vulnerable residents for years. Suffolk faces an HIV prevalence rate higher than that of the state average, while Hampton Roads remains one of Virginia's regions with sustained transmission risk and STI rates, including a 34% increase in syphilis statewide. Community Efforts currently provide education and testing, but too often residents who test positive face delays or barriers to treatment. This funding will allow the organization to employ a physician and medical providers, ensuring individuals receive care, not just diagnosis. It will also support an on-site pharmacy, eliminating transportation and referral obstacles that prevent timely medication access. By deploying trained community outreach counselors, this program will reduce stigma, expand prevention education, and connect underserved residents to consistent care. Thank you for your time, and I hope it will be the will of the body to support these amendments. I hope I kept it under 3 minutes.
Next up is Delegate Martinez, which will be followed by Delegate Lilly Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Appropriations Committee. My first amendment request is item 374, number 13H. This amendment requests $250,000 from the general fund to support the construction of a visitor center and leadership development programming at George C. Marshall's The Dona Manor in Leesburg, Virginia. The new building will reduce wear and tear on the Dona Manor, welcome more visitors to our public events in Leesburg, and provide more space for growing ethical leadership programs for high school students. The project has already received financial support from the town of Leesburg and Loudoun County. Another grant from the locality is contingent upon state funds for the project. My next amendment request is item 301, number 3H. This amendment will provide the Arc of Loudoun $350,000 to purchase buses to securely transport individuals with disabilities to and from campus. Approval of this request to the Arc of Loudoun would have the potential to benefit over 5,000 people with disabilities from Loudoun, Fairfax, Prince William, Arlington Counties, District of Columbia, and cities of Alexandria and Falls Church and their families. Caregivers, first responders, veterans, and the professionals who serve them. Arc at Loudoun in Loudoun County is a school that also has a school for autism. Granting the Arc at Loudoun funding for transportation would allow people with disabilities the ability to attend more programs, connect with their communities, and receive the resources and support they deserve. My third amendment request is 335, number 9H. This amendment would provide Mobile Hope $700,000 to support its critical, unduplicated services for homeless youth in Loudoun County. They address the significant increase in homelessness and the urgent need for resources to move these vulnerable individuals towards self-sufficiency. The funding would provide targeted support to move youth from crisis to stability, sustain and grow the Listen to the Hung program, which remains a critical component of its support system for marginalized communities, and empowering experience for the youth in the Mobile Help program, and also reduce the long-term social and financial costs associated with homelessness, such as unemployment and reliance on public assistance programs and the judicial system. Thank you for hearing my request, and hopefully this time my prayers will be answered. Thank you.
Next up, Delegate Lily Franklin, followed by Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. The first item I have is item 124, number 24H. This requests $80,000 annually for the Western Virginia Public Education Consortium. This group provides high-quality professional development training for its members' school staff, holds annual conferences, and hosts educators' job fair, and collaborates with the Continuous Improvement Program at Radford and Virginia Tech. These funds will address a currently unfunded mandate to support our schools since previous state funding was eliminated some years ago. The next item I have is item 217, number 1H. It's for the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets Unique Military Activities. This funding request will support Virginia Tech's Corps of Cadets, which provides students with an alternative to other military programs by maintaining a co-educational military environment with an emphasis on ethical leadership principles. Cadets undergo rigorous training in ethics, leadership, and service, preparing them to contribute meaningfully to Virginia's workforce. Cadets also receive training that aligns with national defense priorities, including cybersecurity, engineering, global strategy, which are critical for Virginia's industries. And the last one I have is item 115, number 2H. It's for Virginia Tech's Patient Research Center. Virginia Tech is requesting $6 million in ongoing funds to support its patient research at the Fralin Biomedical Research Institute. The VT Patient Research Center will create clinical research structure for human subject research that expands on inventory that is already available with their partner Carilion Clinic to include a next phase safety and evaluations of disease prevention, diagnostic and therapeutic technologies and products developed by Virginia Tech and other research entities. I hope that you all will consider these, and if there are any questions, please let me know.
Next up is Delegate Delaney, followed by Delegate Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I have two budget amendments before you today. Mr. Chairman, first I have item 394, number 18H. The sexual and domestic violence programs administered by our Commonwealth aid hundreds of Virginians who are victim of horrendous crimes and are forced to navigate intense trauma afterwards. Sadly, these services are facing cuts due to significant reduction in federal funding that Virginia receives through the Victims of Crime Act. This amendment would provide an additional $6 million in funding from the Commonwealth in order to restore these vital programs to the level of funding that they received before the federal cuts. And Mr. Chairman, I also have item 335, number 3H. In light of these recent Federal Victims of Crime Act funding cuts, resources to maintain services at children's advocacy centers throughout the Commonwealth have decreased. CACs are where law enforcement, prosecutors, and child protective services and medical professionals work together to investigate crimes against children, strengthen evidence, and reduce trauma for victims. This amendment would provide an additional $8.1 million in funding from the Commonwealth in order to provide critical financial support for Virginia's existing child advocacy centers and establish a work group to create a sustainable funding model so that every community has access to this vital resource. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I've got three requests today. Let me start with item number 124, 38H. This would establish a Virginia Outdoor Education Program, grant program for $50,000 each year, the biennium. This came to me from a bunch of fifth graders at the local elementary school, Oak Hill. I know we all like to have class outside sometimes, and these kids really enjoy having class outside, and thought, wouldn't it be great if we could establish a program for grants where we actually apply for things that really make sense to do outside. So it's seed money is what they called it. I think that was pretty clever for an outdoor education program. They could do some on-site gardening and things like that. So hope that you guys can find a way to fund that one. My second budget amendment is item 36315H, and this comes from Lake Barcroft. This continues the engineering support and design support for the replacement of the earthen plug on the Lake Barcroft Dam. The dam actually failed in 1972. The earthen plug gave way. If it were to do that again in 2026, it would flood like most of southern Fairfax County, the 395 interchange and so forth. It's required under the Dam Safety Act, I'd like to say that, the Dam Safety Act, to be replaced. And so since we're mandating that they replace the dam, the community's asking for some help in the Watershed Improvement District to fund the replacement. So that's what that one's about. And then third and finally is a bill that I inherited from Delegate Bulova. When he left to join the administration, he carried this one for years for Pathway Homes. Pathway Homes is a nonprofit that exists in Northern Virginia, and they want to create an aging in place hub for elderly and disabled folks in need of affordable housing. Just to tell you a little bit about Pathway Homes, they are remarkably successful in the work that they do. 95% of their residents remain in permanent housing after they start their programs. 97% were able to avoid psychiatric hospitalization. 99% remained out of jail, and they touched over 2,048 people. So this is an investment in Pathway that's providing really essential services and saves, ultimately, it's an investment because these folks don't need other government services because Pathway provides those services and has great outcomes for them. So again, I hope it'll be the pleasure of the committee to find some money in the final budget for those three items. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm here to speak to one amendment, 3763H, which would provide dredging to the Little Wacomico jetties that are a gateway to the Chesapeake Bay for commercial, recreational, and rescue vessels, including $2.6 million. The Little Wacomico River is a 9-mile tidal waterway with more than 123 miles of shoreline. The Smith Point entrance channel has not been dredged since 2014, leaving it severely shoaled, with depths averaging 3 feet or less, mostly leaving it impassable to recreational, commercial, and emergency vessels. This is particularly dangerous to marine traffic that often runs aground. Recent coastal storms have significantly worsened and accelerated sedimentation, threatening the functional closure of the entire river. The project is fully planned, ready to proceed. Our Planning District Commission has completed extensive surveys, permitting, design work. This request represents a shovel-ready investment. Local petitions have garnered over 1,100 signatures, and that's a lot in my neck of the woods. And so we would respectfully ask and thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Next up is Delegate Ware, followed by Delegate Rasool.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I have three budget amendments. The first is item C-28, number 12H, and it would improve agricultural research and extension centers in both Tidewater and Southern Piedmont. This capital budget amendment will provide a planning authorization for $2.4 million to renovate and modernize critical research infrastructure at 2 of Virginia's agricultural research facilities. The Tidewater AREC, as it's referred to, was established in 1914 and conducts research and extension programs in row crop, agronomy, pest management, and swine production. The AREC plays a vital role in supporting profitability and sustainability of Virginia's field crop, agriculture, and commercial swine industry. The Southern Piedmont AREC in Blackstone, Virginia, was established in 1974 and delivers commodity-oriented research and extension programs supporting tobacco, forage crops, native plants, beef cattle, and a wide range of other agronomic and specialty crops. Despite their importance, both of these ARECs face significant infrastructure challenges and are beyond their functional life expectancy. This project brings these centers up to date. My second budget amendment is number 283, number 1H. It's from the town of Blackstone on a water line budget amendment. The town assumed ownership of the water treatment plant and water and sewer system from Fort Pickett during the BRAC actions finalized in 1997. The water and sewer system was constructed in 1942, obviously 84 years old. It has received VDH funding for preliminary engineering and design, and the town is in the engineering and design phase currently. Total project cost is estimated at $10 million, and the town projects that if they had to cover all the costs, it would result in a 50% increase for citizens in the town if it can't secure other outside grant funds. And so it's making a request for $3 million toward that construction. My third budget request is number 220, number 2H. This is a workforce development training center that would be jointly undertaken by Blackstone and by Virginia Union University in the areas of hospitality management, air mobility, data analytics, and environmental science. The university and the town recently entered an agreement to offer in-person, short-term certification, hospitality, and culinary arts to help accommodate the town's efforts to provide enhanced tourism and hospitality services to residents and military personnel at the fort. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the opportunity to present these today.
Next up, Delegate Rasool, followed by Delegate Henson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. First up is Budget Amendment number 3281H. It's a multidisciplinary law office model for families in the foster care system. It's a pilot project. Virginia's child welfare system ranks one of the worst in the nation. What this allows us to do, Mr. Chairman, is to capitalize on Title IV-E federal matching funds. And the federal government has said that we could capitalize as much as we want on these funds to be drawn down, which has great bipartisan support at the federal level. In Roanoke in particular, this model has had a team come together over the past year of judges, social service leaders, the city attorney's office, everyone to design it and be ready to go. The second is item 12430H, Mr. Chairman, to build on the wonderful Community Builders demonstration project that this General Assembly funded 2 years ago. What this is in Roanoke City and Petersburg City Public Schools, this pilot project is aimed at disrupting the cycle of violence that happens in our schools by having an intense summer school program and then follows them throughout their 8th grade year before they fall into those habits. They are identified early on. What we have found in the first 2 years have been remarkable, Mr. Chairman, a 65% decrease in out-of-school suspensions in these cohorts and a 90% decrease in Roanoke City of juvenile gun violence offenders just because of some of the efforts that we've been putting into it. So we hope we can fully fund the program and disrupt the cycle of violence. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, item 103H is a vision for a economic development plan for Roanoke City with all of the new growth and development, the exciting changes that are happening at Center in the Square with the Science Museum and with the Berglund Center complex. This funding would allow for Roanoke City to come up with a vision plan for the future to ensure that they're thinking through the retail, restaurant, housing options as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Next up is Delegate Henson, followed by Delegate Wilt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have two. The first one is item 335, number 1H, for the Lorton Community Action Center. This budget amendment will provide $500,000 from the general fund to provide additional operating support. This funding will support housing stabilization, food assistance, and wraparound services for low-income individuals and families in Fairfax County. The second one is item 226, number 1H, for Gunston Hall. This budget amendment will provide $60,000 for the general fund to increase the salary of the executive director from $119,000 to $185,000 to align with compensation with the current market rates for comparable historic and cultural institutions. And with that, Mr. Chairman and committee, I thank you.
Next up, Delegate Wilt, followed by Delegate Cousins.
Thank you, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I have three items before you. The first item, 103-14H. This amendment would establish an incentive fund to expand child care capacity in areas of greatest need with a focus on child care deserts like in my district. It creates a grant program providing one-time assistance to address one of the biggest barriers to expanding child care, the upfront capital costs needed to build or improve suitable facilities. Child care is a bipartisan concern, and this approach focuses on solutions that provide the most impact for each dollar while avoiding ongoing obligations. As written, the amendment allows higher education institutions, localities, nonprofit organizations to apply through a competitive process administered by DHCD in coordination with other agencies, with priority given to program sustainability and the use of existing facilities. Second item, 295, number 1H. This is a language-only amendment, directs DMAS to prioritize the Central Shenandoah Valley for expansion of the PACE program, the program for all-inclusive care for the elderly. About a decade ago, a provider was awarded authorization to start a PACE program in our area, but it never occurred, and I understand that provider has since relinquished their rights to start a program. Fast forward to today, and there are providers interested in moving forward to establish the program, and they hope to have DMAS allow the opportunity once again, ideally sooner rather than later. The third item, Mr. Chairman, is item C-29, number 9H. This amendment adds an expansion to the JMU College of Health and Behavioral Studies building to the construction pool. In 2024, the General Assembly provided planning funds for this project, and I understand it could be shovel-ready by July 1 of this year. JMU is one of the Commonwealth's top producers of nurses, yet several high-demand healthcare workforce programs are at capacity due to space constraints and accreditation standards for teaching labs. These limits prevent the university from expanding enrollment to meet workforce needs. This expansion would allow JMU to graduate more nurses than other healthcare professionals. Importantly, analysis shows that JMU nursing graduates largely remain in rural communities, making this a direct investment in addressing Virginia's rural healthcare workforce shortage. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee, for your time.
Next up, Delegate Cousins, followed by Delegate McAuliffe.
Thank you, and thank you to Chair Torian and members of the committee. I have three budget amendments to discuss today. So the first amendment I would like to highlight is item 103, number 3H, which recapitalizes Virginia's Community Development Financial Institution Fund, or the CDFI Fund. Grants from this fund provide critical flexible financing for small businesses and community revitalization projects, helping businesses start, grow, and stay open, especially in communities underserved by traditional lenders. In just 3 years, the CDFI Fund's grantees have provided over 600 loans and assisted over 1,900 small businesses, resulting in the creation or retention of over 1,500 jobs statewide. Through strong public-private partnerships, the CDFI Fund has deployed over $10 million in public funds while leveraging over $41.3 million in private funds to support programs across the state. To build on the CDFI Fund's work supporting small businesses and community projects, this budget amendment is for $7.5 million in fiscal year 2027 and 2028 to recapitalize the fund. The next amendment I would like to highlight is item 84, number 1H, which allocates $10 million in each year of the biennium to the Virginia Agriculture Food Assistance Program, which provides grants to community-based food assistance organizations that connect Virginia-grown food to families in need while reimbursing local farmers for harvesting, processing, packaging, and transportation costs. It also invests in the Virginia Fresh Match Program
to grow the network of farmers markets and local food retailers that double the value of SNAP food assistance spent on fruits and vegetables for food insecure families. These investments help stabilize communities by reducing food insecurity, supporting local farmers, and also filling gaps left by the cancellation of federal food and agriculture programs. And finally, I would like to highlight item 125, number 3. Which requests $500 million statewide to address the immediate maintenance needs of school buildings across the Commonwealth. School divisions in rural, suburban, and urban divisions face the same challenges: aging roofs, failing HVAC systems, electrical and plumbing issues, and water intrusion. In Richmond alone, our facilities require over $43 million in independently assessed immediate maintenance needs to address leaking roofs, drafty windows, failing air handlers, and faulty fire alarm panels. Addressing these maintenance issues is critical, as they are the baseline requirement for safe, functional schools where both teachers and learners can thrive. And so I thank you for your time and consideration today.
Next up, Delegate McCullough, followed by Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you so much for your consideration today, and I do not envy the task ahead of you. My first item, 366, number 6H, page 447, is for just $50,000 for a groundwater study in western Loudoun and the surrounding counties, where we currently have multiple towns that are under water advisement with penalties of up to $300. We need answers. We need them as soon as we can get them. DEQ has said they are willing to take a look at this. They just need the money to do it. So we'd love your support there to help find long-term solutions to our groundwater troubles. Second item, 274, number 9H, is $650,000, page 456, also from the general fund to support events in district commemorating the 125th anniversary of the Wright brothers' first flight. That'll be in 2027. Their mother was born in Hillsborough, one of our great small towns in the district. My final item is C-14.10, number 1H on page 576. This is $18 million of non-general fund to replenish DCR state park acquisition funds. Because on the occasions where we have the opportunity to purchase adjacent land to our state parks, we need special privilege to do so, and we need your permission to do so. So we would just want to make sure that when the opportunity comes up, we have the ability to do so, and I thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Next up, Delegate Keys-Gamarra, followed by Delegate McGuire.
Thank you. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, I have two priorities. The first is item 33519H in reference to monies for cornerstones, and the second one that I will speak about is item number 102, number 21H. Both of these requests are meant to address dire needs within my district. Herndon and Reston have been hit particularly by evictions, much higher evictions. They are up about 30%, I believe, just in 2 years. And so Cornerstones provides dire support to increase, They provide community youth services, crisis intervention, and neighborhood resources, programs for homeless prevention, shelter, financial assistance, supportive housing, affordable housing rental program, community family strengthening, and they are one of the few organizations that can provide early child care to children with special needs that are hard to place. FISH is similarly situated but focusing on emergency funds, particularly for housing and to prevent evictions, and I would ask for your consideration. Thank you.
Next up, Delegate McGuire, followed by Delegate Cohen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have two budget amendments before you today, but they were actually submitted by my good friend Delegate Krizak because I was not sworn in on time to do my own budget amendments. But they affect my district, so Delegate Krizak and I have coordinated on them. The first is 433, number 4H. This is for $20 million to cover the entirety of the cost of demolishing an existing condemned garage at Huntington Metro Station in my district. Once the garage is demolished, Metro and Fairfax County would be able to leverage other federal, state, and local funds to rebuild not only a new structurally sound garage, but also 1,000 units of housing on top of this garage, including affordable and workforce housing. The second, 433, number 3H, goes hand in hand with this one, and this would go towards constructing a BRT bus station below grade at Huntington Metro that would coincide with Fairfax County's building of our new BRT bus system that would connect the Huntington Metro station, the end of the Blue Line, with Fort Belvoir, the largest employer in Fairfax County. Thank you.
Next up, Delegate Cohen. Looks like they'll be followed by Delegate LaVere Bowling.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. First, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to highlight item 291-25H, which is the elimination of the electronic visit verification for Medicaid live-in caretakers. This amendment restores $1.1 million from the general fund and $1.1 million from the non-general fund each year, and strikes language contained in the introduced budget, which would eliminate the Medicaid exemption from electronic visit verification requirements for live-in caregivers, which are very often family members. First, live-ins don't visit, they live there. The idea of clocking in and clocking out while providing continuous care is ludicrous. Live-ins provide care for intensive needs day and night. They respond to unpredictable needs like seizures, elopement, and behavior crises. Even CMS recognizes all of this and allows states to provide the exemption, which until the former governor's introduced budget, Virginia was one of the many states that allowed this. So I hope that the committee will see fit to restore this exemption. The next item I'd like to highlight is item 291-30H. This amendment restores funding and modifies language in the introduced budget that imposed a 20-hour per week cumulative limit per recipient on applied behavioral analysis services and required a final diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder in order to even receive ABA services. Language was also added to require additional data elements to be reported by managed care organizations related to ABA payments. The language in the introduced budget will delay early intervention and care which will have care which will only increase spending later down the road. For kids like mine, ABA therapy allowed them to have a life where they're successful and self-sufficient, truly every parent's wish for their child. This language will also restrict ABA therapy to those with autism only, ignoring the impact that this therapy has on many other disabilities. I ask that the committee please remove this language and restore funding for this life-changing therapy. And last, I'd like to highlight also item number 291-21H. This amendment adds $1.7 million from the general fund and $1.8 million from non-general funds each year, and language to increase the income limit for Medicaid Works eligibility to 300% of the supplemental security income level to align it with the Medicaid CCC Plus and DD waiver programs. It would allow more working individuals with disabilities to be able to be eligible for Medicaid Works program. This funding would assume that 99 more individuals would become eligible from the program from this change alone. This recommendation was from the 2024 recommendations to improve access to and successful utilization of the Medicaid Works Program report, and I hope it'll be the will of this committee to expand access to this vital program where participation in the Commonwealth lags far behind that of many of our neighboring states. Thank you, sir.
Next up, Delegate LaVere Bowling, and then Delegate Griffin.
Good afternoon. The first item that I'd like to present is item 237, number 2H. This increases the general fund appropriation for New College Institute by $2 million annually, bringing its total base funding to approximately $5.1 million should other budget amendments that are proposed be approved. This aligns it with other higher education centers serving Southwest and Southern Virginia. NCI has faced years of funding instability, including repeated denials and eliminations in prior budget cycles, which has harmed its reputation and capacity to serve the region. At the same time, NCI is navigating an ongoing legal dispute with its former supporting foundation, which holds approximately $15 million intended to support NCI and its learners. This additional funding would immediately allow NCI to stabilize and move forward by developing a 5-year strategic plan, expanding their workforce training through renovations to the Baldwin Building, hiring a student student support and outreach specialist, providing direct grant support to students in West Piedmont region and supporting the ongoing operations of the 52,000 square foot facility owned by the Commonwealth. NCI plays a very critical role in workforce training, teacher preparation, K-12 STEM outreach, and community engagement across Southern Virginia. So this amendment ensures that NCI can continue delivering the positive results, support learners, and serve as a regional hub for education and economic development. The second item is item 291, number 66H, which increases Medicaid reimbursement rates for neonatology services to 100% of Medicare, ensuring Virginia remains competitive in recruiting and retaining neonatologists. Currently, Virginia's Medicaid reimburses neonatology services at just 75 to 85% of Medicare rates, contributing to workforce shortages that are forcing rural hospitals to reduce or eliminate the NICU, their labor and delivery services. We know that several hospitals across the Commonwealth, including Martinsville, Bedford, Giles, and Rockbridge, have already closed their obstetric services, placing Medicaid patients at serious risk of losing access to care for premature and medically fragile newborns. And we know that when NICU services disappear, families are forced to travel long distances for care, which causes a lot of instability when this timely specialized care is essential. So with nearly 44% of all births nationally covered by Medicaid, in Virginia facing the growing maternity care deserts, which I just mentioned, this amendment is very necessary to protect access, stabilize rural hospitals, and support maternal and infant health outcomes across the Commonwealth. And then the last item that I'd like to present to you is item 286, number 3H, which provides funding to support the operation of the Palliative Care and Quality of Life Advisory Council, which couples with HB 435. And this is to cover the incidental enforcement costs that would be incurred by the Office of Licensure and Certification. House Bill 435 requires hospitals, nursing homes, and other licensed facilities to maintain a viable system for identifying individuals who may benefit from palliative care. Palliative care improves the quality of life for individuals with serious illnesses by addressing pain, symptoms, and stress, and it also helps support families and caregivers. This amendment just ensures, again, that the Advisory Council can fulfill its statutory responsibilities and that the Commonwealth has the resources necessary to support compliance and oversight. And with that, I thank you.
Next up, Delegate Griffin, followed by Delegate Scott.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee. I just want to bring your attention to two items, if I may, quickly. Item 362 on 10H. This is $8 million. I think there's a Senate request for this as well. For the first year from the general fund is provided for the Virginia Conservation Assistance Program administered by the Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts. And this is the money we're asking for specifically to go to the Thomas Jefferson Area 1. I think that's based out of Charlottesville, but it goes all the way down to overlaps with the district that I have the opportunity to represent that includes Nelson County. So that's the first one we'd like to bring the committee's attention to. Secondly, item C-13, number 2H, Department of Behavioral Health Developmental Services, $2 million towards these window replacements. As you know, like 15 years ago when the training center was in Madison Heights in Amherst County, which I have the privilege of representing, the training center was shut down, and many of those people that deal with issues to this day were transported to Hiram Davis Medical Hospital. I know there's been some discussion about how we treat those people and what the next step is for moving them when Hiram Davis is either replaced or refurbished. So if you visited, I know many of you have visited, it's like a 1970s high school or an old jail. That's what it's really kind of a downer to go in there, and people live there and families visit there. And so one of the things we were asking for is the replacement of some of the windows because it's it's like a jail window with cages over top of them. The sunlight doesn't come in. So we appreciate your consideration, and thank you for the time.
Delegate Scott, followed by Delegate Glass.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. First item that I would like to speak to today is item 283, number 4H. This is requesting $26 million for the Rapidan Service Authority in my area. In August 20 24, a catastrophic water pump failure at the Rapidan Service Authority triggered a do not use water advisory that disrupted thousands of families and shook public confidence in the service authority. That crisis exposed vulnerabilities in treatment, storage, and reliability. But the most urgent reason that we must act now is this. The Virginia Department of Health has issued a consent order requiring Orange County and the Rapidan Service Authority to make significant upgrades to come into full compliance and protect public health. Phase 2 directly addresses those mandated requirements. This $31 million investment for all of Phase 2 delivers the activated carbon treatment needed to remove emerging contaminants, pharmaceuticals, personal care products, and disinfectant byproducts while increasing treatment capacity from 2.5 million to 3 million gallons per day, adding 2 days of raw water storage, expanding pre-treatment, and constructing a new finished water tank, clear wells, and high service pump station. These upgrades build efficiently on existing Phase 1 infrastructure and are key to meeting the VDH consent order, preventing future emergencies and ensuring safe, reliable drinking water for our residents. This is not optional, it's compliance, and Orange County has asked for the support to meet the state's own mandate. The next item I'd like to speak to is item 3-5.04, number 2H. This is requesting a disbursement of fees. The circuit court clerks in Virginia collect fees for services like filing documents, recording deeds, and other court-related activities. When these fees exceed the operational costs of the clerk's office, including salaries and expenses, the surplus is considered excess fees. Under Virginia Code 17.1-275, excess fees are supposed to be distributed as follows: 2/3 to the locality, city, or county where the court is located, and 1/3 to the state general fund. This supports local budgets for public services while contributing to statewide needs. However, recent state budget language, item 3-5.04 of the budget bill, has overridden this statutory split, directing only 1/3 of excess fees to localities and sending the remaining 2/3 to the state. This change has reduced local revenues, putting pressure on county and city budgets that rely on these funds for essential services like public safety, education, and infrastructure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for considering these budget amendments.
Next up, Delegate Glass, followed by Delegate Ward.
Gratitude, Mr. Chair and committee. My first budget amendment is 103, TAC 19H. This is for an increase for planning districts. What we've done is we've established these planning districts across the Commonwealth without funding them for the very minimal staff. So it doesn't matter whether you're talking to Martha Schickles, you're talking to Craig Pfeiffer, you're talking to Kevin Byrd, Thomas Jefferson, or David Blunt, they'll tell you the minimum amount of funding to operate the PDCs, especially with what's happening at the federal level and us asking our regional partners to be more crafty with how we do business. We're at a state where they need to at least have the basic funding to operate an office. And I think that was about 3 staff. So it's an ask for an increase, and specifically for Planning District 21, which is the Hampton Roads area where Bob Crum is that we combined our region, our planning districts. So 21 and 22 combined to 21, but then our budget got cut in half. So this budget amendment asks for an increase for those planning districts so that they can do the good work. We are asking them to work for free, but mandating them to do that by code. The second budget amendment is 124, TAC 5H, which is for the free bookstore. In my community, read literacy levels are steadily declining. There are very few people who are willing to go to the hood and do the work. What this organization did was establish a storefront for free books, and it gives that to homeless kids. They just check in and they get 2 free books. Their families can get free books. It's just an opportunity because the population that they serve, the federal government has taken funding from them as well. So I'm asking for a $200,000 investment in them. The final budget amendment is budget amendment 124, TAC 10H for the Elizabeth River Project. This project services over 9,000 K-12 students on environmental education in the Hampton Roads area, and they're very heavy in Portsmouth and Norfolk public schools. Again, because they focus on community, the language didn't get changed in time enough for the federal government to leave them alone. there was a takeaway of $200,000 from a program that is ongoing that will end up having to stop. It is actually award-winning, and that's the final request is to support them with that gap as they raise the funds to make up for what has been taken away from the educational programs that they have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Next up, Delegate Ward, followed by Delegate Maldonado.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. This first budget amendment, and I do have three of them. The first one I'm carrying for my former class member, Mark Sickles, and it is 319 number 36, and it's the Ombudsman program. And he says that it's vital for Virginians living in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. These are some of the most vulnerable residents of the Commonwealth, and the Ombudsman provide vital protection for them by going into their facilities, speaking with them confidentially, and advocating for their needs when care is poor. But the budget has been stagnant for 40 years. This $2 million increase per year is essential for the program to fulfill its mission and protect our elderly and infirmed. The number 2 budget amendment is 64-1H, and it is brought to me by my Commonwealth attorney. There are 3 amendments. However, one is only a budget amendment, and that a language amendment, and that's 67, number 2H. And see, you may remember that we created more protections for defendants, and in doing so, we were creating more trials by jury. So we've created a more just legal system, but we've also created a backlog because the trials are taking longer. These amendments help the Commonwealth Attorney's Office staff up to the level necessary to guarantee Virginians their right to a speedy trial. And my third budget amendment comes from Christopher Newport University, and is for property acquisition, and it is 29, number 2H, and it is asking that by purchasing this real estate from Christopher Newport University, they will serve $1.5 million in annual lease payments, which can be passed on to tuition reductions. And the university will handle all maintenance costs and here thereafter. Those are my 3 budget amendments, and I thank you so much for your consideration.
Next up, Delegate Maldonado, followed by Delegate Guzman.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. The 3 budget amendments I have before us today. The first is item 115, number 4H, and this relates to VASMR, Virginia Academy of Engineering, Science, and Medicine, in need of operational support for $75,000 in each of the 2 fiscal years for a total of $150,000. VASM provides independent, nonpartisan scientific, engineering, and medical expertise to guide complex policy decisions in the Commonwealth, including producing trusted scientific briefs that help legislators and others make informed choices on public health, safety, and innovation. It operates the Commonwealth of Virginia Engineering and Science, COVES Fellowship, which many of you have participated in. Their program placing scientists and engineers directly into public service roles to bring technical expertise into policymaking. This matters because when Virginia invests in evidence-based policymaking, it invests in smarter, more durable decisions for our people, and the funding helps ensure the next generation of scientific leaders sees public service as a calling and chooses to serve the Commonwealth. My next budget amendment is for our local effort, item 124, number 42H, which is requesting $125,000 in each of the fiscal years in a total amount of $250,000. This is for the V-STEP program, and it is housed in Osborne Park, High School in Manassas Park. It delivers hybrid STEM education and internship opportunities that connect classroom
learning with real-world experience, helping to develop that workforce development pipeline in an ever-evolving industry and sort of sector where we are in great need of more technical skill sets. This program, the VSTEP program, serves students in Prince William County in the cities of Manassas and Manassas Park and builds direct pathways from education to employment in high-demand STEM fields. And when these students can see their future in themselves, they stay engaged, they stay motivated, they stay invested, and most importantly, they stay home locally to be able to work in the communities in which they live. And finally, my third budget amendment, item number 120, item 120, number 20H, is for funding to help support Code VA, requesting $200,000 each of the fiscal years for a total amount of $400,000. As many of you know, you may be very familiar with Code VA. They train and support public school teachers who deliver high-quality, consistent computer science education across Virginia. One of the things that we are desperately trying to do is also to help the technical skill sets for our educators, whether it's from AI or coding or other programming efforts, to make sure the teachers have sufficient foundational skills to begin to also support and educate our children in these areas to make them also more competitive in our communities. This program, Code VA's services and programs serve as the backbone of Virginia's computer science education ecosystem, helping ensure students have access to computer science instruction regardless of their zip code. If we want Virginia to remain competitive, innovative, and economically strong, we must invest in computer science education. And we want to make sure we close the gap now as opposed to leaving and sort of hemorrhaging people over time. It's important to note that Code VA's state appropriation amount has stayed unchanged since 2017 at $550,000, while inflation has risen 32%. Fewer teachers, schools, and students are reached each year. So investing in Code VA is investing in those who will ultimately empower Virginia's future workforce. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the committee.
Next up, Delegate Guzman, followed by Delegate Navarre.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Committee Appropriations staff. I bring to you three budget amendments. The first one is item 291, number 74H, which would eliminate Virginia's 7-year bar on Medicaid eligibility for certain qualified immigrants. As members of this body know, H.R. 1 dramatically reduced access to healthcare coverage for many lawfully present immigrants, cutting off Medicaid, subsidized ACA coverage, and Medicaid for groups who were previously eligible. For Medicaid, those cuts take effect on October 1st, 2026, and they will have real consequences for families and for our healthcare system. Virginia has an opportunity to act. This budget amendment would remove an outdated 7-year limitation that leaves some qualified immigrants insured for a short window of time, only to later become uninsured. Eliminating the bar ensures that those who do not are not left behind without access to basic preventive health care. Next, Mr. Chairman, we have budget amendment item 368, number 6. This is in the heart of the 22nd District in Prince William County. It's in relevance to the Bristol Manor Golf Course, which was built in a rural portion of Prince William County, where a sewer line extension to connect the area to a major wastewater treatment plant was unrealistic during the 1990s. However, this body acted favorably in 2022, allocating $3 million for a sewer extension line, and this request came to from DEQ for this extension. However, Mr. Chairman, that cost estimate is now $5.5 million. This funding gap would cause homeowners in my district to absorb $2.5 million in costs not currently covered by the 2022 budget amendment, which means $120,000 for each homeowner that lives around that sewer. I hope it's the pleasure of this committee to continue to fund this right cause. And finally, Mr. Chairman, item 78, number 2H, is relevant to the local electoral board compensation. Local electoral boards perform constitutional and statutory oversight role. They appoint and supervise registrars and ensure elections are administered lawfully. In recent years, expanded early voting periods, increased absentee processing, and greater public scrutiny have significantly increased the workload and responsibility of electoral boards. This budget amendment aligns electoral board compensations with registrar salaries. Electoral board secretaries are set at 7.6% of the general registrar's salary. This budget amendment preserves the introduced budget of 2% increase for the largest population brackets. However, it does not address the inequity being addressed that it still exists for smaller jurisdictions. This budget amendment provides more substantial increases to lower population brackets where compensation has fallen farthest behind, and these, Mr. Chairman, rebrackets population metrics to match those used for general registrars and by the compensation board. During the 2021 special session, the General Assembly modernized registrar compensation. However, it did not include this update for electoral boards, and I hope it's the pleasure of this committee to support these budget amendments. The good news is that these 3 budget amendments are also carried on the Senate, so I hope it's the pleasure to allocate them in the House budget as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next up is Delegate Navarre, followed by Delegate Phillips.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My first budget amendment is item 485-8H. Sworn special agents in the Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Corrections, Department of Juvenile Justice, and the Office of the State Inspector General carry out full law enforcement work and routinely face the same dangers as officers already in the Virginia Law Officers Retirement System, also known as VALORS, yet they're still excluded from enhanced retirement benefits. This inequity hurts recruitment and retention and pushes experienced agents to leave for VALORS-covered jobs, weakening public safety and preventing these agents from living in the communities they serve. This proposal aligns with JLARC's findings supporting eligibility for their enhanced retirement benefits and builds on last year's legislation adding Department of Conservation and Recreation officers to VALORS. The bill takes effect July 1st, 2027, and applies VALORS membership only to service earned on or after that date. To implement these changes, VRS will require a non-general fund appropriation of about $187,000 in fiscal year 2027 for programming, testing, and updating communications with minimal ongoing costs. Of the four affected agencies, DMV and OSIG will self-fund, leaving a total fiscal year 2028 appropriation need of $594,000 from the general fund and $5,000 from the non-general fund. My next budget amendment is item 3014H. For over 40 years, the Autism Society of Central Virginia has supported individuals with autism and their families, yet rising demand and reliance on borrowed spaces now limit their reach. With more than 30,000 people living in the Richmond region with autism and program participation up 266% in 7 years, families are waiting for essential services. The Autism Community Hub, a first-of-its-kind 20,000 square foot center, will unite therapeutic, educational, and recreational supports under one roof. ASCV is requesting $500,000 from the Commonwealth toward their $4 million community hub as part of their strategic multi-sector funding plan. And finally, my last budget amendment is item 1182H. HB 1113 directs the Department of Education to provide statewide guidance for culturally responsive, language-appropriate mental health support. It gives local school boards the flexibility to tailor policies to their communities because one size does not fit all. And it promotes training for educators and counselors so they can better connect with students and families. The DOE anticipates that contractors would have to be utilized to develop high-quality, effective guidance and training materials. to administer listening sessions and feedback, and provide technical assistance to divisions. I've yet to receive a fiscal impact statement for this, but since this was passed but vetoed by the former governor, last year's statement required only $54,000 from the general fund. Thank you very much, Chair and members of the committee.
Next up is Delegate Phillips, followed by Delegate Fagans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Item number 102, number 25H, is an amendment that provides $20 million each year of the biennium for the general fund to capitalize the Virginia Rural Housing Infrastructure Fund. Establishes a Virginia Rural Housing Infrastructure Fund and program to be administered by DHCD for the purpose of financing infrastructure projects like water, sewer, curbs and gutters, things like that, in rural communities associated with increased housing developments within such communities. The bill directs the department to develop criteria and guidelines for awarding grants under the program. You guys have supported us with a lot of money for business parks and things like that. We're a little behind on the infrastructure piece to go with that. We don't want everybody living in North Carolina and Tennessee and other states. We want Virginia to get the full benefit of those jobs coming to our region. So please consider that. Secondly, I have Mayo River State Park, item number 363, number 8H. This amendment provides $1.2 million from the general fund in fiscal year 27 and $790,000 from the general fund in fiscal year 2028 for 4 positions to begin operation of Mayo River State Park in Henry County. The 4 positions that would be created, this would initiate the park's operations. This land was purchased in 2009 as the oldest state park that hasn't been funded to fully open. So I hope that you will consider funding that particular park. And then lastly, I have item number 406, number 2H, and that is for the Virginia Fire Personnel and Equipment Grant Fund. This amendment provides $12.5 million from the general fund in each year of the biennium. The budget amendment establishes two distinct types of grants to directly support local fire and emergency services at a time of growing need. The first provides personnel grants to help localities hire additional full-time firefighters, convert part-time or volunteer positions to full-time roles, and strengthens the recruitment and retention efforts. The second offers equipment and infrastructure grants for purchasing emergency vehicles, upgrading critical life-saving equipment, and improving facilities. And these investments are urgently needed as nearly 70% of Virginians firefighters are volunteers currently, and many who serve in departments facing declining membership and limited budgets. These dollars address both staffing shortages and equipment gaps. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, committee. Have a great day.
Next up, Delegate Fagans, followed by Delegate Bennett Parker.
Good afternoon, Chairman and committee members. First, I have item 124-7H of requesting $500,000 to continue the pilot program partnership between the YMCA of Southampton Roads and the Virginia Beach Public School District to provide child care assistance for our school division employees working within Title I schools. This program addresses the child care challenges faced by educators and support staff by helping provide on-site daycare assistance to Virginia Beach. This initiative continues to help retain talented educators while enabling them to better balance work and work and family responsibilities. Additionally, I have item 465 2H to request $150,000 to provide funding for the design of the Virginia Air National Guard 192nd Wing Headquarters military construction project located at Joint Base Langley Eustis. State investment in design is one of the key areas to initiate federal design and construction funding. The 192nd is one of the only wings in the Air National Guard without a dedicated headquarters. Wing staff and support functions currently operate in 8 separate buildings that are currently inadequate, spread over 2 miles of Joint Base Langley Eustis. Thank you.
Next up, Delegate Bennett Parker, followed by Delegate Carroll.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Item 357, number 4H, would provide $200,000 to maintain and build out the Talent Capital Initiative. Since its launch last year, this initiative has worked with around 25,000 Virginians navigating career transitions, including displaced federal employees and contractors. The program helps them connect with meaningful employment opportunities and start certification programs needed to transition to private sector employment.
The Metropolitan Council of Governments launched this initiative with support from the Departments of Labor of Virginia, Maryland, and DC, and by providing Virginia's share of funds, we can ensure this critical resource will remain available to Virginians facing unemployment, especially displaced federal workers, to help people get back on their feet and provide for their families. Next, item 1, number 9H, would provide funding for the Commission on Unemployment Compensation to fulfill statutory obligations. A bill from last year, Senate Bill 1056, directed a study on indexing our unemployment weekly benefit amount to Virginia's average weekly wage. However, we need funding to complete the study. A little bit of context, our maximum weekly unemployment benefit is only 30% of the average weekly wage, when experts agree it should be 50%, so Virginians temporarily out of work through no fault of their own can afford groceries and housing. Currently, 35 other states automatically index their maximum weekly benefit to a metric like average weekly wage. However, to responsibly consider indexing our weekly benefit amount, we need to understand the implications for the UI trust fund and employer tax rates, and that requires an actuary. When the bill passed, it was assumed that the VEC could handle these calculations, but they do not have an actuary on staff, so this one-time funding will help us complete that important work. Last but not least, item 125, number 9H, would provide the funding necessary to provide school breakfast for all public school students. Children cannot learn if they are hungry. This is an investment in our students' education and would maximize all of the other education investments we are making. School breakfast leads to improved test scores and academic achievement and reduces truancy and discipline problems. School breakfast is just as important as books and buses to our kids getting the education they need and deserve. School breakfast for all is a step that a number of other states, most recently Arkansas, have taken, and Virginia should too. Thank you so much for your time.
Next up, Delegate Carroll, followed by Delegate Shin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Take up line item 272, number 1H, the feasibility study. The request is for $250,000. Currently in PD 16, we have about 75% of our students attend over the state average of 3%. More about 7% of our students go to private public day schools. Specifically speaking, the average cost of those private day schools is about $65,000. We know from a public perspective that we can provide that cost and that cost savings on behalf of the students for more about $35,000 to $40,000. This feasibility study request budget amendment would allow the county to work with the other localities within our planning district to see about how we can provide an overall cost savings from the localities as well as the state. The second budget amendment request is number 333, number 2H. The request is for an increase in foster care annual supplemental clothing allowance. You know me today as Delegate Carroll, but for the last 6 years here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, I have been serving as a foster parent, specifically specializing in teens, ages 13 to 18. The annual clothing allowance for foster kids authorized by the Commonwealth of Virginia is $574 for teenagers. I am requesting a 30% increase, which would take it up for teenagers to about $700. Overall, possibly about $1 million, but I can promise you, I have a student that's placed with me right now that is a size 4X and a size 15 shoe that $575 doesn't go as far as it could. So I would ask you for us to support the children and see about increasing that annual clothing allowance. And last but not least, line item 102-17H is security deposit assistance. We talk a lot about housing and affordability, but don't address the transition to overall housing and what that means. This specific budget amendment would provide a security deposit grant to assist personnel that need to transition into housing. We know specifically in PD 16 that we have a lot of people that live in long-term supportive housing, whether that be extended stays, simply because of how unaffordable it is to move inside of a home. We know according to state statute, people can be required to pay as much as 2 times the monthly rent plus the first month rent to move in. This specific security deposit assistance would assist those in having that initial onset cost of moving in be taken away. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, for your consideration.
Next up, Delegate Shin, followed by Delegate Pope Adams.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about a few of these budget amendments. The first one I'll address is item 291, number 17H, which is to increase the Medicaid rate for home care workers. Home care workers in Virginia provide essential care to seniors and people living with disabilities to support independent living at home and in their communities. However, more than half of Virginia's home care workers rely on public assistance of some kind. A home care worker making $17 an hour can't be expected to make ends meet in the Commonwealth, where our living wage is estimated to be $25 an hour. Recently, DMAS commissioned a study that said home care rates need to increase drastically in order to ensure we have a stable workforce and that there isn't high turnover, which we know is so essential to being able to provide the kind of care our community members need. The amendment provides for $175.5 million from the general fund and $197.9 million from non-general funds to increase personal care, respite, and companion service rates by 20% for consumer-directed and agency-directed care in the first year, as well as $219.7 million from the general fund and $247.7 million from the non-general fund for an additional 5% increase in the second year. The second amendment I'd like to share about is item 126, number 2H. This budget amendment seeks to invest $480 million into the Virginia Preschool Initiative and expand eligibility for all 4-year-olds in the Commonwealth. In recent years, y'all have expanded eligibility for the Virginia Preschool Initiative to 200% of the poverty line. But as a reminder, 200% of the poverty line is just $31,400 for individuals and just $42,300 for a couple, which means that in spite of that expansion, more than 75% of families in the Commonwealth are either scrambling and scraping by to pay out of pocket or more than likely not actually enrolling their kids in preschool at all. High-quality childcare and pre-K programs are strategic long-term investments because we know they have a high return on investment. The third one I'd like to speak to you all about is also something that I believe has a high return on investment. And this one asks for $500,000 to the Office of Consumer Protection under the OAG to purchase and forgive qualifying medical debt. In America, medical debt is the leading cause of bankruptcy, and in Virginia, a 2022 survey estimated that more than half of our neighbors here in the Commonwealth carry medical debt. Medical debt can be purchased for pennies on the dollar, quite literally, and we've seen it work, like in Rhode Island, where they've been able to leverage $65,000, just $65,000, to purchase more than $10 million of medical debt and provide direct, immediate relief to more than 7,000 of their residents. And as the math works out, it's actually less than a penny on the dollar. It's 0.65 cents on the dollar if you're able to leverage $65,000 for $10 million. And we know that that would provide, obviously, very direct relief for Virginians. Mr. Chair and members, I really appreciate your time and your consideration today. Thank you so much.
Next up, Delegate Pope Adams, followed by Delegate McClure.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My first item is 438, number 7H. The Wythe Street Bridge in Petersburg, built in the 1800s, is a direct feeder to both I-95 and I-85. After flooding in 2025, erosion has forced lane closures and weight limits, creating safety risks and choking commerce. A $12 million investment now avoids far greater emergency expenditures later, protects interstate access, and safeguards regional economic activity. Petersburg cannot absorb this cost alone. This amendment is prudent, preventative stewardship of Commonwealth dollars. My second item is C-28, number 8H. Simply put, Richard Bland College needs a true public safety building on campus. This $2.1 million amendment adds a capital project to the planning pool, allowing RBC to renovate and repurpose Statesman Hall for public safety, emergency operations, IT, and administrative uses. My last item is 125, number 12H. Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria, and Surry County all have a local composite index of 80%. Surry County's LCI is artificially inflated, not by household wealth, but by the presence of a nuclear power facility that does not translate into classroom resources. This amendment to cap Surry's LCI at 0.65 is about fairness. Otherwise, Surrey students are penalized for infrastructure they don't control and revenue they can't access. This amendment restores equity, stabilizes school funding, and ensures Surrey students receive the state support they truly deserve. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee, for your time.
Next up, Delegate McClure, followed by Delegate Runyon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My top budget amendment priority that I present to you is item 126, number 3H, which would invest $25 million in the biennium or over the biennium to establish state funding for an employee child care assistance program as outlined in HB 18. The 2025 General Assembly's enrolled budget included $25 million for employee child care assistance program in fiscal year 26, but the funding was line item vetoed by the previous governor. Therefore, I'm bringing this request back because now more than ever, funding will ensure that more working families can access quality childcare services by maximizing state dollars and creating stability for employees, employers, and childcare services across the Commonwealth through an innovative public-private partnership. Thank you for your consideration of item 126, number 3H. And Mr. Chairman, my second priority is item 102, number 14H, and that increases the annual appropriation to the Virginia Eviction Reduction Program, otherwise known as VERP, by $6.5 million in support of expansion of the program across Virginia, as proposed in my bill HB 527. VERP provides flexible funding to local and regional eviction prevention programs through a competitive grant process administered by DHCD. This has been an extremely effective program in preventing evictions, and since April 2021, VERP has served 8,784 individuals from 3,813 households. Every year since the program has started, DHCD has had to deny many requests for funding due to lack of funds. Virginia is home to 5 of the top 10 highest evicting large cities in the United States, and increasing the appropriation to the Virginia Eviction Reduction Program will protect those most at risk of eviction in Virginia. Mr. Chairman, my final budget amendment that I present to you is item 270, number 2H, which would establish a STEP VA task force to propose a strategic vision for STEP VA and conduct a statewide and CSB level assessment. This budget amendment is a unanimous recommendation of the Behavioral Health Commission, and STEP VA is an innovative or an initiative focused on creating a set of core behavioral health services that are consistent across all of Virginia's 40 community services boards. While this initiative has been created, Virginia currently lacks a robust baseline assessment of need for STEP VA services across the state. Without a baseline estimate of community need, it is impossible to determine whether STEP VA is effectively reducing gaps in behavioral health care and whether current funding levels are adequate, or how to optimize allocation among STEPs and CSBs. To meet those CCBHC requirements, the assessment would have to be conducted by a third party, so DBHDS estimates a cost at $2 million. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for your time and consideration.
Next up, Delegate Runyon, followed by Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My first item is item 203, number 5H, allow for continued expansion of our very successful aviation maintenance technology program at Blue Ridge Community College from the current 25 students up to 100. Funding will allow the hiring of additional faculty to leverage the approved distance learning program that we have in place. Item number 2 is item 125, number 1H, provide funding to correct Rockingham County's LCI valuation. Incorrect information was submitted to calculate the true value of real estate for the most recent benchmarking. My third item is item number 434, number 1H, provide additional funding to the Railway Preservation Funding to allow short lines railroads to maintain infrastructure, improve capacity, and meet track safety standards. I want to correct that. This is non-general funding. It is important to note short-line railroads touch 20% of all shipments in the Commonwealth, and last year removed over 3 million truckloads from our highways. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Thank you.
Delegate Garrett, followed by Delegate Margaret Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegate Garrett, item number 439, 1H would provide $50,000 in funding for warning signs in Amish-heavy communities, specifically the Lynchburg Transportation Planning District, to install slow-moving vehicle signs. What these signs would do is utilize technology to create a flashing light system that would be triggered when a vehicle moved past one of the roughly 50 signs in the Amish-heavy regions in Virginia, so that it would flash for a period of time that would indicate that there was a slow-moving vehicle within 2 miles. The real need is explained in the cost of human life. I have military veteran, law enforcement, and first responders who responded to an accident in my district in 2024 where they literally experienced PTSD, pulling the broken body of an 8-year-old child
from a ditch in an accident that involved 7 humans who were seriously injured and a little girl who lost her life. We are at the point now where we're losing about a life every other year. There have been about 10 injuries per year. I'm not going to quantify dead horses, but when we talk about that 8-year-old girl, Mr. Chairman, it's not just the impact on her or her family, but the first responders and the community, and these are things that we just don't hope to see. Virginia has experienced a net inflow in Amish population, and particularly in counties in the Lynchburg transportation region, as families in places like Lancaster, Pennsylvania have sold the farm, not metaphorically, but literally, for $5-6 million and moved to Virginia, bought an equivalent piece of property for $500,000 and pocketed the difference. And our highways don't reflect that reality right now. And again, when I have people who've seen horrific things on battlefields overseas who are telling me that the worst thing they've ever done is pull the body of an 8-year-old girl out of a ditch, it's something we can do something about. So, you know, I don't know what else to say, except I think there's a real need. I understand it's real money, but I think it's a real and quantifiable impact that this committee might have by funding this request. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next up, Delegate Margaret Franklin, followed by Delegate Anthony.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Appropriations Committee. The first item I would like to discuss is budget item 335, number 3H, which are our child advocacy centers. These are essential to public safety and protecting child victims of crime. They provide a one-stop shop of wraparound services that bring together law enforcement, prosecutors, and child protective services to investigate crimes against children in a way that strengthens cases and reduces trauma. Having helped establish the child advocacy centers in Prince William County, I know this work is complex, resource-intensive, and chronically underfunded by the federal government, which is why we need the state's continued support. My next item is budget item number 452, which supports our state trail systems, particularly the Potomac Heritage National Trail System, which has become a top tourist attraction within Prince William County in the Northern Virginia region. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, my next item is $5 million request to fund Prince William County's Housing Trust Fund, which provides funding to help build affordable dwelling units throughout Prince William County. This will help address our critical housing needs within the region. This was created alongside our affordable housing ordinance. In last budget cycle, Prince William County requested $5 million from this committee to help supplement the work that the county has done. We were thankful that Chairman Torian and members of this committee helped to pass this budget amendment within the General Assembly, but unfortunately, this request was vetoed by the previous governor. Therefore, we are asking for the same request this year, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you so much.
Next up, Delegate Anthony, followed by Delegate Leftwich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. First up is item 50, number 4H. The Office of Attorney General increased Office of a Civil Litigation capacity to manage emerging technology. This is a JCOT endorsed budget proposal. We scaled it down given our constraints. This amendment provides $525K the first year, $722,479 the second year from the general fund for 3 positions to augment the ability of the Office of Civil Litigation within the Office of Attorney General to enforce consumer protection laws related to all emerging technology. This amendment is a result of a study by and recommendation of the Joint Commission of Technology and Science, as well as the VASM Coase Fellow Research Report. The next item on our agenda is item 335, number 12H. The Buffalo Family and Friends in South Norfolk and Chesapeake. This amendment provides an additional $500K each year from the general fund to support Buffalo Family and Friends, a local nonprofit dedicated to addressing food insecurity among vulnerable populations in Hampton Roads. They have been doing this for over 16 years. In 2025 alone, they served more than 28,000 meals during Thanksgiving outreach and fed over 400 seniors on Christmas Eve, but they do this work every single week. This amendment increases that funding to meet the rising food costs and growing demand. The third item on our list is item 338, number 1H. funding for the statewide food mapping tool. This is a Commission to End Hunger endorsed proposal where this amendment is a result of the Commission to End Hunger, provides $500K one-time first-year general fund to fund and operationalize the food desert mapping tool to identify the food deserts in the state to illustrate any drivers of food security. This comes from House Joint Resolution 447, passed back in 2025, in order for us to have funding to be able to fully integrate this food desert mapping tool. Thank you, members of the committee.
Next up, Delegate Leftwich, followed by Delegate Oates.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have 3 amendments, but I only addressed 1 because 2 are associated with bills that have not made it past subcommittee. So the item I'll address is 102, number 12H. It's associated with House Bill 1135, and it creates a tax credit for those who invest in affordable housing. A couple of things I'll mention is that this would apply to the tax years of between 2026 and 2030. The builder, developer, or whoever invested in it will receive a 50% tax credit for the difference between the fair market value of the rental property and the actual rent that's charged. There'd be a maximum tax credit in a taxable year statewide of $5 million. Not received an actual fiscal impact on this, but you would assume that if someone's getting $5 million worth of tax credits, it'd be around $5 million a year. And I think the beauty of something like this is that with a $5 million tax credit, you can leverage that in tens of millions of dollars worth of value to the community and those who are living under 120% of the median income in that particular area. And I thank you for your consideration.
Next up, Delegate Oates, followed by Delegate Ballard. And we're about to hit page 3 of the list, so we're getting there.
And I will try to be quick. I talk fast, so hopefully we'll get through this. Bill Wiley told me I need to hurry up. So anyway, my first one, because thank you, Mr. Chair, and the committee members, and thank Bill Wiley. My first request, and I appreciate you for hearing it, is 374, number 21H. And these are historical highway markers. And this amendment provides $104,000 to the Department of Historic Resources for the design, fabrication, and installation of 30 new historical highway markers, recognizing influential women in Virginia's history. Having participated in some of the dedications of these highway markers, I asked, where are the ladies? And they said, wow, we haven't really been able to develop that program fully. So I'm here requesting for the development of that program today. They have identified 30 deserving female figures, and this funding would allow the Commonwealth to begin correcting that imbalance in a thoughtful, measured way. So as you know, these markers educate the public and support school curricula and encourage heritage tourism. And so documenting the great things that women have done in Virginia is a request that I support, and I hope you do too. All right, the second one is 186-2H. It is for the State Arboretum of Virginia. This amendment provides $407,000 in additional operating support for personnel at the State Arboretum of Virginia, which is located at UVA's Blandy Experimental Farm. In 1986, the General Assembly designated Blandy as the Virginia's only state arboretum, affirming that it serves the entire Commonwealth. It is open free of charge year-round and welcomes more than 200,000 visitors. The funding is going to support essential staff, curators, maintenance personnel, education specialists who protect public lands, maintain collections, and deliver SOL-aligned pre-K educational programs. Since state support began, more than 92,000 students from 16 school districts have participated in field trips, and teachers in nearly half of Virginia's districts have benefited from the professional development. One note that I think is important is that the Arboretum staff also provides early detection and response to invasive pest and plant diseases such as the spotted lanternfly and the box tree moth. It is about to celebrate its 100th anniversary. So this modest investment ensures that it remains properly staffed, protected, and accessible. And I would note that there is a Senate version of this request as well. And the final one, 374, number 10H, is for the U.S. Army Remount Depot dip tank. This amendment requests $312,000 from the general fund to preserve a historic U.S. Army depot buildings located at the Northern Virginia 4-H Educational and Conference Center in Front Royal. These structures are part of the original U.S. Army Remount Depot, a unique piece of Virginia's military and agricultural history that it was established in the 1910s. They are one of two remaining and existing types of sites in the United States, and they continue to serve the Commonwealth by supporting youth education, leadership development, and community programming through 4-H. Without these critical repairs, these buildings are at risk of further deterioration and destruction, and the funding would allow for the stabilization, preservation, ensuring that the facilities remain safe, accessible, and usable for future generations. I respectfully ask for your support for these requests, and thank you.
Next up, Delegate Ballard, followed by Delegate Waxman.
Ballard, not Fowler, buddy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. He's often confused. It's all right. So I have a couple budget items before the committee, but I just want to highlight one for you here today. It's item 374, number 16H. It's $295,000 in FY27 for necessary repairs to the historic Andrew Johnston House. The Andrew Johnston House in my hometown of Pearisburg is a historic brick home built around 1829, and it's believed to be the oldest surviving brick house in Giles County. The property's significant as an example of well-preserved early 19th century architecture. It was listed on the Virginia Landmarks Register and the National Register of Historic Places, and today serves as our museum and headquarters of the Giles County Historical Society. The property features on site a museum, library, gift shop, and it hosts events and meetings on the grounds or within its facilities and attracts tourists, which boosts the local economy there. The Andrew Johnston House has some significant repairs that need to be accomplished in order for it to remain open to the public. What we've done in the past is apply for grant funding to accomplish the repairs, and we were told that its application was very, very strong, but other projects took precedence. So in the absence of this state funding, it's highly unlikely that the Andrew Johnston House will be able to continue operating into the future. So I thank the members of the committee for this budget request.
Next up, Delegate Waxman, followed by Delegate Carnegie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. It's my pleasure to present 3 budget amendments today. Representing 7 localities, it's always difficult figuring out which 3 we want to help out today. But first on the list is item 102, number 3H. This is an affordable housing request for the city of Emporia. The city of Emporia, I'm told, is the most physically stressed area of the state. It also is in need of housing, affordable housing, as it does have housing problems. This is for the Reese Street housing project. It included originally 52 much-needed affordable housings, 42 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes, and 10 1-bedroom, 1-bath home. You may remember that this was in the budget last year. It did get vetoed by the budget, by the governor when he was pulling out different things, and I do want to give some extra credit to the chairman for helping me get this in the budget last year. So once again, we're asking this be put back into the budget. The second item is item 283, number 6H. This is for Greensville County, and it's a health issue. Greensville County has got an aging water system. This water system that they have goes back to the 1930s, using 4 and 6-inch asbestos cement pipe. They usually have an effective use of 40 to 50 years. This has been in place for over 90 years, and 95% of that system still remains original. Every time that they try to repair these asbestos concrete pipes, it becomes a health hazard. The county of Greensville is looking to replace this at a cost of $7.5 million. Also to upgrade the lines along I-95 and 301 to open that up for further development. The final budget item that I have is item number 291, number 44H. This is also a recommendation of the Joint Commissions on Healthcare. This bill looks at pharmacy practice. The area that I represent, I mentioned, has 7 localities. We have 3 entire counties without a single pharmacy in them right now. We've studied pharmacy deserts across the board. One of the main items that they've looked at is reimbursement rates. Our fee for service for Medicaid is about 10% of the Medicaid prescription services covered. They pay at cost plus a dispensing fee that's calculated through a statewide survey. What this proposed amendment would do would give the $500,000 to DMAS so they can do the study to see what it would take to take that methodology and apply it to the other 90%, which is the Medicaid managed care organizations. Once again, it's my pleasure to present this to the Appropriations Committee. Thank you for the time to do so.
Next up, Delegate Carnegie, and then it really is Buddy Fowler.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My first budget amendment that I'd like to be considered is item 28, number 23H. This amendment provides $140,000 each year from the general fund and 2 positions to support a newly created judgeship in the First Judicial Circuit, a judicial law clerk and a deputy clerk 4. The need is clear. Compensation Board workload statistics show the First Judicial Circuit is understaffed by as many as 4 to 5 positions. Comparable circuits serving similar populations typically have between 58 and 62 staff members, while this circuit currently operates with only 34 Compensation Board funded staff supporting 7 active courtrooms. At a minimum, adding a deputy clerk 4 would help relieve the significant administrative burden on courtroom deputy clerks and ensure judges can efficiently administer justice. This amendment is about making sure the courts have the basic staffing needed to function effectively and keep cases moving. My second request is item 96, number 2H. This amendment invests $2 million each year from the general fund into the Forest Sustainability Fund. Created in 2022, this fund supports the local governments that encourage private landowners to keep land in forest use rather than converting it to development. These dollars help offset lost local revenue and are reinvested in public education, outdoor recreation, and forest conservation projects. It's a smart way to protect working forests while supporting communities. And my last budget request is item 301, number 15H. This amendment provides additional support in the amount of $70,000 to individuals with disabilities and their families in my district. It uses general fund dollars to support the Arc of Virginia, an organization that assists people with intellectual and developmental disabilities by connecting families to service, guidance, and resources. This funding would help families access support earlier, navigate available programs, and lay the groundwork for establishing a local ARC chapter to better serve our community. Thank you.
Next up, Delegate Fowler, followed by Delegate Josh Cole.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got 3 budget amendments here. The first one is item 362, number 2H. This amendment requires state funding of $30,000 in both fiscal year 27 and 28 to support the Lake Anna Advisory Committee in its effort to maintain buoys in Lake Anna and also for treatment of the invasive hydrilla at the lake. LAAC is responsible for a total of 70 buoys on Lake Anna. This is a requirement of the Department of Wildlife Resources, and when the buoys are non-compliance, damaged, or missing, they are not enforceable by DWR, nor do they function to keep boaters away from danger. LAAC also treats the lake for hydrilla, which is an invasive aquatic weed which can clog waterways, damage infrastructure, reduce water flows. While the plant does have benefits and can provide habitat for food and fish, its exponential growth is largely considered harmful. Dense mats can block sunlight, reduce oxygen levels, and overtake native aquatic vegetation. Amendment number 2, that's item, 374, number 5H. This is a budget amendment for Scotchtown in Hanover County, which is the only original standing home of the patriot, Patrick Henry, known as the Orator of the American Revolution. Henry lived in Scotchtown from 1771 to 1778. He conceived his most influential revolutionary ideas at the home, including his famous Liberty or Death speech. Scotchtown was acquired by Preservation, Virginia in 1958 and restored to its appearance during Patrick Henry's life. The house is surrounded by a reproduction of outbuildings and gardens. The budget amendment provides $500,000 from the general fund fiscal year 2027 to Hanover County support installation of fire suppression system at Scotchtown for the America 250 related events and programming. And finally, Mr. Chairman, this would be item number 124-34H. This is amendment provides $1.2 million each year from the general fund to increase support for career and technical education student organizations to $1.9 million annually. These additional funds support state-level student organization specialists, operational costs, and reduce student and advisor registration costs for state and national events. And of course, this goes to Louisa County. They just finished building a marvelous CTE building and everything. So this is for our friends in Louisa County. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my amendments. Thank you, sir, for your time. And I thank the committee.
Next up, Delegate Josh Cole and Delegate Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My three budget amendments, beginning with item 179, number 3H, is a request to start the planning process for a partnership between the University of Mary Washington and Mary Washington Healthcare to create a public-private partnership for a medical school. The Greater Fredericksburg region is a healthcare desert when it comes to our healthcare workforce, especially for doctors and nurses, Mr. Chair. If you look at the Greater Fredericksburg region per capita in terms of the number of primary care physicians, it compares to rural South Dakota. The Virginia Office of Education Economics estimates that the state will need an additional 1,055 doctors by 2029 alone. With the fastest growing population in the Commonwealth doubling since 2000 and the largest Virginia healthcare center on the Eastern Seaboard, the Greater Fredericksburg region is in dire need of medical professionals. This opportunity is vastly different from our existing medical schools in that it is designed with a clinical focus to attract students from the region who want to stay in the region and practice. Too many of our medical schools graduates now are moving away for other opportunities in other states once they get their degrees. These planning resources will give UMW the ability to do the necessary due diligence around financing, governance, program development, and the cost models to incentivize students to remain in the Commonwealth and shorten time to degrees. It also affords opportunity to begin exploring opportunities within our HBCUs and other institutions in underdeserved regions in the Commonwealth. The second item, Mr. Chair, item 301, Amendment 1H, provides $100,000 to support the Healing Station Counseling Center in expanding free mental health care services and strengthening our local behavioral health workforce. This funding supports no-cost clinical supervisions for pre-licensed clinicians, helping more providers become fully licensed and remain in Planning District 16. It also expands access to care for low-income and uninsured residents in the Fredericksburg region, where provider shortages remain severe, as I mentioned earlier. This is a modest, targeted investment with long-term benefits for access, workforce development, and community health. And my final item, Mr. Chair, is a language-only item, item 67, Amendment 1H. It directs the Compensation Board to study the growing workload involvement in reviewing disabled veteran property tax exemption applications. Local revenue offices are required to conduct detailed eligibility reviews, but this work is currently excluded from the state workload formulas. As application volumes increase, especially in places like Stafford County, staff capacity has not kept up to pace. This amendment simply asks for a data-driven evaluation so staffing formulas reflect real work being done. Thank you for your time, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Next up, Delegate Walker, followed by Delegate Downey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This first budget amendment I want to bring to your attention is item 282, number 11H, which is a request for a one-time grant to the first years of support for the United Way of Central Virginia's Community Connector Regional Hub Initiative. This program is a partnership with the Department of Health, Central Health, the Community Action Network, and Johnson Health Center to strengthen the access to health and human services in Central Virginia by reducing duplicate services. Next item is 291, number 331H. This is my second request to establish a 2-year Medicaid billing pathway pilot program that allows licensed and Medicaid enrolled applied behavior analysis providers to bill Medicaid directly for Medicaid services necessary delivered in our public school setting, with parental consent and compliance with the federal Medicaid requirements. Current providers in Central Virginia have had difficulty receiving timely Medicaid reimbursements for the services that are performed and have waited several months to get their reimbursements. This is a pilot program which would allow them to bill directly, and we can see where this improvements need to be made with this current system. And lastly, and I think probably one of the best here, I want to bring to your attention item 374, number 12H, which is my amendment to provide a grant to the Virginia University of Lynchburg. As you heard on the floor today, this is a 140-year-old HBCU, historic black college in my district. And this is for the preservation of their historic campus buildings that are currently on the National Register for Historic Places. I know that these folks will be very delighted. In fact, they're sitting here in this audience today, and the wonderful graces of this committee would make them very delightful in receiving funds for their historic buildings. And with that, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the privilege of presenting this budget amendment.
And Delegate Downey, followed by Delegate Davis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Today I'll be speaking to 3 amendments. The first is item 273, number 1H, which will provide funding to the Department for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing to continue a program to train support service providers, or SSPs, as they play a critical role in empowering deaf-blind individuals by providing essential access to visual and environmental information, facilitating safety, independent mobility, supporting communication, and enabling informed decision-making. Rather than making decisions for the individuals, SSPs promote autonomy, helping deafblind Virginians navigate daily life, attend appointments, do errands, and engage in social and civic activities. Their work fosters full community participation. This is a total investment of $200,000 over the next 2 years to continue the training program that expired in June 2025. The second is item 394, number 20H, which requests $2.5 million each year to add to the City of Newport News to the list of localities eligible for the Safer Communities Program. The Safer Communities Program addresses the root causes and conditions of community violence through after-school programs, education and economic opportunities, and mental health care. The allocation of these funds will add the City of Newport News as the 5th participating locality and the only community on the peninsula to have this program within the Commonwealth. The funding will provide a dedicated professional to plan, implement, and coordinate community violence reduction strategies for the City of Newport News. As a locality with some of the highest rates of gun violence in the Commonwealth, making the Safer Communities Program a vital step to protecting our Newport News children and families. The third is item C-28, number 4H, and this is a one-time allocation of $3.7 million to the Virginia Institute of Marine Science to add a project to the planning pool to construct a new fisheries science research building. The current building they are doing their research in is over 50 years old, is well past its useful life, covered in mold and prone to flooding with rainfalls. This funding will bring VIMS one step closer to having a campus that matches the top quality research they are known for the Commonwealth and in the United States. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members, for considering these budget amendments.
Next up, Delegate Davis, followed by Delegate Singh.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Speaking to Budget Amendment 430, item 438H11. We're requesting $1 million to replace an aging bridge that would not meet the current safety requirements in the town of Rocky Mount. This bridge is the only access to a low-income neighborhood that is mostly minority residents. Next budget, item 36316H, we are requesting $500,000 to complete a conductor trail to the Booker T. Washington National Monument, which is the only national monument in my district. Next item, item number 114-5H, we're requesting $1.5 million to Roanoke County that will provide much-needed funding to help restore the popular and historic Mabry Mills located on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Thank you for your time.
Delegate Singh, followed by Delegate Schmidt.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm here to talk about 133, number 13H. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, college tuition is just too high. When I went to school here in Virginia, tuition, room, and board was $15,000 a year, and now it's over $40,000 a year. If parents can afford to help at all, they have to decide whether to fund their retirement or their kids' education. That's why I introduced a 4-part college affordability plan. First, a 2-year freeze on undergraduate tuition and fees at state institutions of higher education. Second, because these institutions will be burdened by this freeze, I've introduced this budget amendment before you, 13313H. This amendment would cover half of the lost revenue from the freeze. Third, I've introduced legislation that would facilitate and encourage the adoption of the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, by making completion mandatory while allowing students and families to opt out. Fourth, I've introduced legislation to create a work group to examine how service in organizations like AmeriCorps can count toward college credit. Mr. Chairman, to develop a talented workforce and attract new businesses in Virginia, we need a robust and affordable education system. I thank the committee for moving forward with my budget amendment request last year for $55 million in additional relief. There's more to do, and I thank you for your consideration. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak to you about 394-7H. Members of the committee, hate crimes are on the rise. There was a 15% increase in hate crimes in Virginia from 2023 to 2024. This affects all of us in every race, religion, gender, and sexual orientation. Last year, I authored legislation to direct the Department of Criminal Justice Services to come up with best practices for security at our houses of worship. This was intended to accompany a grant program already in place for institutions to combat hate crimes. This amendment, 394-7H, is intended to improve the effectiveness and delivery of that grant program. The proposed legislative changes would make the program more accessible and alleviate some of the burden on local government agencies. It would make the program more equitable across the Commonwealth and allow for expedited awarding of grants in the event of security emergencies. Mr. Chairman, let's work together to make these programs stronger and more effective. Thank you so much.
I believe Delegate Schmidt has stepped out, so we would move on to Delegate Anderson and then Delegate Bulova.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Torian and committee members. Thank you for allowing me to share some of the budget amendment priorities today. First up is item C29, number CH, for the renovation of the historic Yule Hall at William & Mary. This budget amendment would preserve and renovate this historic building, as well as allow for the relocation of the Health Sciences Department and expand academic advising. Currently, 900 students are utilizing this building each week. All undergraduate advising takes place here, and this renovation supports fields across the healthcare industry. This budget was supported and passed in our previous budget and was unfortunately vetoed by the prior governor. Next up is item 301, number 12H, for Colonial Behavior Health. The purpose of this budget amendment is to develop an integrated healthcare facility, which will be located near the existing Eastern State Hospital. This facility will provide robust services as a one-stop shop for patients and work towards the destigmatization of mental health care disability services, while ensuring community members of all ages and backgrounds can receive quality health care. This development would be an incredible addition to James City County. And finally, item number 131, number 10H, is for the Virginia Community College System, a network of 23 community colleges across Virginia focused on workforce training and education throughout our Commonwealth. VCCS is looking to increase funding for its Fast Forward program to further expand the high-demand workforce. Fast Forward currently funds 2/3 of the students' tuition, making these much-needed workforce programs accessible and affordable to so many Virginians, training 21,038 individuals in FY25 alone. I hope it can align with the governor's desire to expand our workforce and grow our economy with programs such as these, and I thank you for your time and hope it is the will of the committee to be favorable consider these budget amendments. Thank you.
Delegate Bulova, followed by Delegate Daugherty.
Chair Torian and members of the committee, Budget Amendment 103, number 2H, will capitalize the Urban Public-Private Partnership Development Fund. As you are keenly aware, federal cuts have had a significant impact on our urban and suburban areas, including a significant increase in underutilized and vacant office space. While these properties are currently a drag on local economies, they also present an opportunity for mixed-use development and especially the creation of affordable housing, a priority for Governor Spanberger. In many instances, making these properties attractive for redevelopment requires upfront investments, such as site remediation, removing old buildings, and consolidating parcels. This fund will be used to incentivize public-private partnerships and leverage investments by nonprofits, land banks, EDAs, IDAs, and private developers so that these properties can once again provide a positive impact on the economy. The budget amendment is supported by HB 1376. The concept is also referenced as an option to consider in the Emergency Committee on Federal Workforce and Budget Reductions. Thank you for your consideration.
Delegate Daugherty, and then Delegate Nicole Cole.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for your time today. My first budget amendment request is item 124, number 52H, and that is $7.9 million from the general fund for the replacement of Hopewell High School's HVAC system. The city of Hopewell is in great need of help relating to this request. Hopewell has a year-round school system, and when the HVAC system fails in the summer, which it has numerous times in the last few years, the school system has to cancel school due to classroom temperatures rising well above safe levels. This results in loss of instructional time and widens the educational gap in this community. This investment will make sure that all students across the Commonwealth, no matter their zip code, can learn and thrive. My second budget amendment request is item 145, number 4H, and this is relating to shad fish recovery in the James River. This amendment will provide $901,000 from the general fund to Virginia Institute of Marine Science, or VIMS, to carry out 3 priority projects identified in the framework for the recovery of American shad in the James River. Shad were once James River's most abundant fishery, both culturally and economically central to communities along the river, which is a good portion of my district, and a sign of river health for generations of Virginians. Today, American shad in the James have declined to 0% of the Commonwealth's management goal, a near collapse that reflects broader ecosystem stress. This amendment would make a modest, targeted, one-time investment to fill these critical data gaps on these fish so that we can begin the work on their very necessary recovery. My final budget amendment request is item 96, number 3H, and is a backfill request for 2 community forestry positions. This request is for $271,000 in year 1 and $226,000 in year 2 from the general fund. The funding for these 2 positions was recently eliminated due to federal budget cuts, and in 2025 alone, these 2 positions served 128 communities across our Commonwealth with tree planting, maintenance, and provided critical assistance to natural disaster response teams. A loss of funding for these positions would impact the Department of Forestry's ability to administer state and federal programs that support communities across Virginia. It would be a detrimental decline to the number and health of trees in our cities and towns, undermining ongoing efforts to manage critical stormwater runoff, reduce urban temperatures, and would improve overall community health. This ask is a relatively low cost to the state, but would have extremely positive impacts statewide now and for decades to come. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for your consideration on these requests.
Delegate Nicole Cole, followed by Delegate Cornett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Good afternoon, and my top budget request is item number 874H. The request is for $10 million for the Virginia Small Farms Fund pursuant to HB 1169, which creates the Office of Small Farms to be housed at Virginia State University. The office would provide dedicated support to small farms, which make up 91.8% of all farms in the Commonwealth. This request also provides funding for one FTE to administer the program. My second request is item number 124. The request is for direct aid to our public education systems in House District 66, $975,000 for renovation of the Marshall Center in Spotsylvania to expand preschool special education capacity. The Marshall Center is an 85-year-old facility, last renovated over 35 years ago. Funding will provide additional countywide preschool capacity for early childhood education in Spotsylvania, and $950,000 for Caroline County literacy and tutoring programs to support and continue the county's advancements and establish programs supporting literacy, chronic absenteeism, and decreasing chronic absenteeism and tutoring programs. And last, item number 224, 8H. The request is for 1.4.
Okay, I'm gonna have a little fun with you.
Pardon me?
I'm gonna have a little fun with you.
Sure.
I think you've already given me 3 requests.
Okay.
Caroline and Marshall and HB 116987, number 4.
It was, those two were one item?
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
Nah.
Okay.
You
No
good
problem.
for those 3?
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Next up, Delegate Cornett, followed by Delegate Siebold, and then Delegate Pence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. And Mr. Chairman, you'll be happy I have 2 amendments today. The first budget amendment I want to bring to your attention is item 390, number 25H. Should HB 294 be favorably reported from the Committee on Courts of Justice, this budget amendment would provide from the general fund for deposit in the Corrections Special Reserve Fund in fiscal year 27 to address the projected corrections bed space impact. Second budget amendment I want to bring to your attention is item 469, number 14H. HB 130, which expands the workers' compensation presumption of compensability for certain cancers, causing the death and disability of certain employees who have completed 5 years of service in their position to include sheriffs or deputy sheriffs, was referred to your committee, Appropriations, by Labor and Commerce. This budget amendment would provide for any potential increase to the Line of Duty Act premiums that may be billed to state agencies as a result of this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members, for your time.
Delegate Siebold and then Delegate Pence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity and members of the committee. My first budget request is item 291-67H. This amendment will provide $670,000 from the general fund in the first year and $670,000 in the second year to ensure that Medicaid beneficiaries with drug-resistant epilepsy in Virginia face fewer barriers to accessing the vagus nerve stimulator, the therapy that comes with that, a treatment that can significantly reduce seizure frequency and improve quality of life for Virginians living with epilepsy. Mr. Chair, my next request is item C, 1810-1H. Currently, there are 7 prisons that are operated by the Department of Corrections that still do not have HVAC systems. You may have heard this amendment before, and I appreciate you including it last year in the budget. This amendment provides $25 million in the first year from the general fund to upgrade correctional facilities without operable HVAC systems. While it does not cover all the facilities, this would be the first installment that would be directed specifically for upgrades to Nottoway Correctional Center. And then finally, Mr. Chairman, item 36313H. This amendment provides $4 million from the general fund to allow the town of Vienna to establish a visitor center along the W&OD Trail. The total cost of this project is $8 million. The rest of the funds will be raised through private and public partnerships. And of course, this trail is one of the most heavily used trails in the Northern Virginia region, spanning 45 miles from Loudoun to Arlington. So thank you very much to Mr. Chairman and to the members of the committee.
Delegate Pence, and then Delegate Sullivan.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you. I'm going to give you my first two budget amendments ever. The first one I'm going to talk about is item 362, number 14H. I'm here to express strong support for the budget amendment that would provide full funding for the Agriculture Best Management Practices Cost Share Program in fiscal year 2028. This amendment supplies the additional $71,892,653 needed to fully meet the Commonwealth's obligations. As you know, the introduced budget includes only $10 million for fiscal year 28, leaving a substantial gap in a program that has become essential to our program in water quality and agriculture sustainability. Since fiscal year 2022, General Assembly has fully funded Ag BMPs, and farmers across Virginia have put those resources to work. Full funding gives producers access to the tools, technical assistance, and cost share support necessary to carry out practices required under Virginia's Watershed Implementation Plan and the 2014 Chesapeake Bay Watershed Agreement. These goals represent a significant lift for the agriculture community. Nutrient management planning, livestock stream exclusion, cropping systems, precision agriculture, and other conservation practices are central to achieving the reduction that protect the Chesapeake Bay. And even after these nutrient reduction targets are met, Virginia must maintain those reductions over time. This budget amendment ensures we can continue maintaining these practices and remain in compliance with long-term nutrient load requirements. Virginia farmers are appreciative of the General Assembly's partnership in meeting these shared goals. Thanks to the Commonwealth's sustained investments across both point and non-point sources, Virginia has already achieved 84% of its nitrogen goal, 91% of its phosphorus goal, and 100% of its sediments goal. Importantly, the Commonwealth's recent reports to the EPA show that the agriculture sector has made significant contributions to nutrient load reductions over the last 4 years. Progress made possible in large because this body chose to fully fund the Virginia Agriculture Cost Share Program. Full funding of Ag BMPs for fiscal 28 ensures this program continues. I respectfully urge your support in this amendment. This next one will be peanuts compared to that first one. Page County, a county I represent, would like to purchase, it is item 124, number 43H. Page County would like to purchase a commercial dump truck with accessories to help maintain the 9 school facilities, including athletic fields. Their goal is to drastically cut the high cost of contracting and frequently required service to outside source. The commercial dump truck would be utilized countywide in maintenance, including snow removal and upkeep on the grounds and athletic facilities. Ownership of a commercial dump truck also permits the Page County School System to manage and prioritize their own schedule to efficiently keep projects on track without long costly delays, and this would be a $200,000 expense. So, thank you all.
Delegate Sullivan. Then I guess Delegate Carlson will be our last.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This day always reminds me of the father of 4 who was asked, "Who's your favorite child?" The best answer I've ever heard to that is the one who needs me today. So I've chosen the 3 children that need my help, I think, today. The first is item 124, number 27H. This relates to the Wolf Trap Foundation, which is in Vienna, and I'm proud to have Wolf Trap in my district. Wolf Trap administers the Commonwealth's Early Childhood STEM Arts and Literacy Program in partnership with the Virginia Department of Education. It trains early childhood educators, providing them with individualized in-classroom professional development that engages children in math, science, language, and literacy. Since taking over the program in 2022, Wolf Trap has grown the program from 13 school districts to over 50, serving 70,000 students. But demand is outpacing funding, and initial funding only covered 777 classrooms. Wolf Trap received requests from nearly 1,200. Additional funding would allow the program to serve thousands of more Virginians and their children. My second is item number 33, number 3H, relating to guardians ad litem in Virginia. Amount of $1.5 million. It would increase, listen to these numbers, the current level of what we pay guardian ad litems dealing with our foster children in Virginia from $57.50 an hour when they're doing out-of-court work to $78 in court. It would increase them to $65 and $90 in court. Not a huge increase, but comparatively speaking, a big one. This is an important job. We ask people to do our list of people willing and frankly just able to do this great work at those kinds of wages. Those reimbursement amounts is dwindling, and it's dwindling fast. So we need to do something about it, and this budget amendment will help that, Mr. Chair. My last one, Mr. Chair, is item number 110, number 2H, relating to the energy storage bill I'm carrying. This is a governor's bill, Mr. Chairman. It's 895, and it's going to help Virginia become a leader in energy storage development in the country. It has a modest fiscal impact to ensure that we're developing energy storage in the most economic way and ensure that our localities are best supported to consider these projects. And what it will do is create an FTE at the Department of Energy to oversee all this. It will create an audit function at the State Corporation Commission, and it will get some funding to the Weldon Cooper Center to develop public tracking database. So that's my third one, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the committee's time.
Thank you, Chair Torian and members of the committee. I think I've got a good spot here. I also did not pick between my children. I just picked ones focused on children. So the first one I'd like to highlight is item 301, number 14H, which is $750,000 both years for Bennett's Village, which is an accessible playground, one of the only of its kind serving families west of Richmond. The mother of Bennett, a child who has now passed away, but continues to bring joy to others through his legacy, has been a tireless and fierce advocate to provide this safe, accessible, educational, and most importantly, fun space for children that otherwise cannot play on playgrounds. I have visited it many times. I recommend that you do as well. And I've also seen all the money they've raised, their first phase, and they have plans to provide so much more. All children deserve a place to play. Continuing with the theme of children, my second request is money for CASA advocates. It's item 394, number 1H, trying to bump their total support from 2.4 to 4 million. I have personally represented the Department of Social Services in hundreds of abuse and neglect cases, and I can attest to the invaluable role that CASA advocates play in those proceedings. They give us all information about how to best heal, help, and support those children in ways that we cannot do as lawyers. I cannot go and visit families every week and see what's going on. That's what they do. And they're a deal because they actually train and recruit highly qualified volunteers to do that. I used to serve as a CASA volunteer. So I would really like to uplift that one. I think it's an investment for our state and for those children. And then lastly, I would ask that the committee look at some of the line item vetoes that our outgoing governor made. I don't want to let him leave a legacy like that. He line item a lot of Charlottesville's requests last year. In particular, I'll highlight the homeless shelter that we're working on. Again, we serve the whole region. Madison, Fluvanna, Orange, Greene, those people come to Charlottesville to receive services, and we are putting in a lot of money and time to provide them reprieve, food, and shelter. Did I get it in 3 minutes?
Yes, but you left me a little confused. Was that a third item?
The third item was a line
what's the
item veto
number?
from last year. That's the homeless shelter, and it is, Chairman Torian, I apologize. It's item 102, number 1H.
Okay. All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, committee, I believe we have entertained the delegates who made themselves present. That concludes all the presentations for the afternoon. And hold tight.
Still have two subcommittees, Mr. Chairman. Transportation, Public Safety will be meeting immediately, and following that, Commerce, Ag, and Natural Resources will meet as well.
You all got your marching orders. We stand adjourned.